Hello Internet, in this video we are going to be exploring Azure Functions. So this is something I've been meaning to do for a while and I just haven't gotten around to it. Azure Functions is a function as a service framework, and it goes obviously in Azure, which is Microsoft's cloud framework. There's alternatives. Google has a Functions SDK, which provides the same function in Google Cloud. And Amazon AWS has another similar function called Lambda. And so I don't know much about this. I know it's a function as a service, and I know they added support to Visual Studio. That's all I know. So we are going to attempt to build a HelloWorld application using Azure Functions with no prior experience and see how that goes. So hello Azure Functions, I think we'll create it. So I believe this is automatically included with Visual Studio 2017. I'm using Visual Studio 2017 point something. I don't entirely know what. But anyway, if you're on the latest version of Visual Studio 2017, you should be good. I don't believe it's supported in Visual Studio 2015. There's some .NET dependencies that aren't available. So we create the function and then we'll see what happens. And we get a bunch of dependencies, a get ignore, a host, and a local JSON. This isn't really what I expected. I was expecting a function. So the way a function as a service goes, this should explain that. We'll create our HelloWorld function. I don't know the naming conventions for this, but think of a function as a service as a way to expose single functions as a service. So why would you want to do that? Why wouldn't you just make a microservice and then expose that and let people call your microservice? What this allows you to do is create something that can scale really quickly. It's small, it's really tiny, and it can scale to do whatever, and it's got a single responsibility. So it does one thing. And it allows you to kind of connect to all of these endpoints and kind of use them. So some of the examples I've seen have been logging in, for example. If you need a login, you're going to use perhaps OAuth for Facebook or Google or Microsoft to download your credentials and actually use that to authenticate with your website. You don't necessarily you don't necessarily need to integrate into an entire thing. You just need one endpoint to validate a user, and that's it. And so you can use that, or you can use it for other simple things. Another fun thing, there's a whole bunch here, but you can use this as a way to do timers, for example. So maybe you have something that you want to kick off periodically. You can do that. Maybe you have something that you want to attach to an event. So maybe you have some event stream that is sending events somewhere. Maybe you have, I don't know, the number of people that drive through an intersection. Maybe you have something that is triggering every time that happens. You can actually register a function to that queue. And so every time an event pops off that queue, you actually see that in your function and get to handle it however you want. So it's fairly robust, and they give you a whole bunch of things. I don't know entirely what we want. I think a get should be all we need. Yeah, let's use a get. You'll have to... sorry about the, if my voice sounds a little bit funky. I am getting over a bit of a cold, so it's a little bit weird. But, what do we need here? Access rights, function, anonymous, or admin. I assume this is the access rights required to call this function. So let's do that. Make it anonymous. I don't think this is what I want. I should figure these out. Generic webhook. Sure. So I have no idea what I've just done. I've created something for a generic webhook called the HelloWorld function that accepts something as an HTTP request and gives me a trace writer back. So I assume this is going to accept some sort of request and write something to a log. And I think it just returns it as an async task. And it already comes with hello first and last name. So if we pass in our first and last name, we should be good, I think. This is interesting. I don't entirely know how this is going to go, but we're going to find out. So if I run this, what happens? So this should be an HTTP GET. So I need to give it a first and a last parameter. And I also don't know which browser this is going to open in, so that may be another thing. I'm not strictly prepared for this, but we can work around it. So it starts something with a fancy lightning bolt and some cool colors. And then breaks my firewall. And then, let's see, found the following functions. So it's labeling all of the functions we have. So this whole thing appears to be some sort of function container, which you sort of need. So if we get super high loads, for example, I imagine this program is what is actually going to spin up additional functions. So the trick here is you can actually have multiple of the same function doing the same thing. And so that way, if one computer, one server, gets overloaded, maybe you get millions of requests per second. If that's happening, one service may not be enough. And so you may need to load balance that between multiple different servers. And so this should be able to handle that, and it should do that intelligently. So I haven't confirmed that, but that's sort of the marketing that I have been told. So let's create a new Edge window because we're doing Microsoft stuff. So this is the function dashboard, I guess. This is I think this is pretty much just a modification of the basic ASP loading page, like dashboard hello thing. But I don't know what the endpoint is, but I'm assuming if I do HelloWorld function and give it a first Sam and well, let's do world and if I can find it, there we go, and last equal to 0. Nope. Okay. I have failed. Not found. Why not? What have I done? We should be able to get to our HelloWorld function. Call that. So why are we getting a 404? I'm wondering if there's an access thing? Or if we're doing something wrong. Because that should send a GET request over to this, which ought to be hosted. Oh, ha. Got it. Everything is fine. We broke it. Cannot perform runtime binding on null reference. We totally destroyed everything. And this, I believe, is due to the fact that we did not give it a first and a last name. Nope, still broke. So let's see if we can walk through this. This is not a very helpful error. At least it's not formatted very nicely. Cannot perform runtime binding on a null reference. What? I'm gonna drop a breakpoint in here. Something is null. And I'm wondering if it's something here. Like maybe our JSON content is null? That'd be weird. But let's find out. So we're gonna reload this. Hit our log. Our log is not null. That's good. That's a good first step. Our JSON content is an async function, so that should be complete now. It's empty. Wait. Oh, why is this coming from? It's a GET request. Why would you give this from HTTP trigger of generic JSON? Oh. So it's reading the content as a string, which we didn't give it any content, and so everything is breaking. I think we can fix that. I'm going to need Postman for this though, because we are going to actually need to add a body to this. And I can't do that here. So one sec, let me get that started. I'll leave everything as it is. Actually, I'll continue this. We'll get an error like we were getting. I'm going to start Postman, which will let us actually add some content, and we'll try that again and see if we get the same result. All right, so I'm in Postman. We've plugged in our same URL. I can actually close that other one. That is not relevant. So this should be hitting the same thing. We should get here. I'm going to continue because we're going to get an error. Please pass. Oh. Interesting. Now it's actually saying please pass first and last name properties in the input object. Oh, because we have a body. That was the problem we were running into. This is from when we were doing our data cube, which is still back behind me and unfinished due to some other issues. But anyway, because we based it off of that, we already have some stuff here. So let's give it a last equal to world and a first name equal to 0. So this is going to be backwards because that's just what I did. But we should call this, should go through, says everything's fine. If I look at Postman, it says hello 0 world, which is close, I guess. And so that's basic hello world. So all we had to do was just create it and do that, and everything's good. But we're not done. This is designed to run in Azure. So it's designed to be a cloud platform. And Azure gives you, at this time, it gives you 1 million requests, approximately, free as part of your subscription, which, depending on what you're doing, is going to be a lot or none at all. And so it really depends what you're doing here. If you're using this as just like a microservice style thing, you could theoretically be calling these functions dozens of times per operation. And if that's the case, you're going to hit that limit pretty quick. But I'm going to try to figure out how to get this onto my Azure account without doing anything that I know of. So can I just publish this? Again, I've never done this. Last time we did this was actually a while ago. Okay. Azure Function app, create new. Cool. Publish. What is this doing? I hope there's nothing here that I have to kick off. This is, by the time you guys see this, this isn't going to exist anymore. I'm going to pull this down right away. Mostly just because there's no reason for it to be there. But yeah. Apparently I have no subscription. One sec, I need to re-authenticate my Azure credentials. All right. So after authenticating, it just kind of filled all this stuff in. So we have a pay as you go account, just sticking it in a random resource group. Actually, let's stick it in Twinkle. We haven't used Twinkle since the start of this channel. So let's see. App service plan. Don't know what that is. Are you going to tell me? Always on will be used if the app service plan is whatever. Storage account. Don't know what that means. They're both the same, so we're just going to do that. I don't think I need to create anything new. I am not an Azure expert by any means. This is the second time I have used it. And last time was a year ago. So I know nothing about what I'm doing here. But worst case, I spend a little extra money. Yeah. Anyway, this is a good way to kind of get our grasp on things. Let's see. It doesn't like our storage account. It's saying it's going to create both of those, and it has an X. Don't know what that means, but it's blocking. So how do we get around that? Create a new one? And so I wonder if this is for storing state between your functions so that they can actually synchronize or whatever. I don't really know why we would need something to store stuff. Well, I know why we would want to store data, but I don't know why these would need that. So that may be something we'll need to revisit. I'm not going to go into it here because that seems like it could just be its own thing. So we're going to create, we'll just add solution to the end. Must be between, can only contain lowercase letters and numbers. Function app. System. Sure. Let's actually call it storage. Oh, and these have to be unique, don't they? 2017 09 05 09 5551. And we can drop storage. Still too long. Alright, so it's function that gross thing. And then we should be good there. Now, is it saying, oh, why? I don't. For some reason it wants to create this additional storage thing. And because it wants to create that, I can't actually move forward. Maybe we can get rid of it here. Boop. Dependent on my resources, so something else has created it. Wonderful. That's fantastic. That seems fine. That also seems fine. But you can't be removed. So I should probably go into this a little bit. This allows you to choose what region you host this resource in. And so this is going to be whatever resources are in Azure. And you can also choose the size of the node you are posting it in. And this is going to determine the price of what you're doing. So if you choose, you could choose something with like 7 gigs of RAM and 4 CPU cores. But if you don't actually use that, you're just burning money. And so that's sort of the gotcha of the cloud, I guess, is it all depends on what you're doing. So let's see. I need to figure out a way to get rid of this. And I don't know how. Let me go and try to find this because I'm going to be here for a while. I don't know how to get rid of that. And it's not a valid name and it's too long. So we can't actually create it. So I don't... this is silly. Why would something that they automatically create be invalid? So we're going to do something a little bit hairy, I guess. I don't know if this is how you're supposed to fix this problem, but you can just rename this. That works. No idea if that's what you're supposed to do, but we can go forward now, so yay. I didn't find any documentation about what this is doing exactly. I didn't really look that hard, but now we need our app service plan because I was kind of jumping around everywhere. Everything should be good. We've still got the create go ahead. Let's create it in the central US, call it our function app. I'm going to name this something a little bit better. We're going to call it Hello Function was World of Zero, and give it that number that everything kind of ties to so we can kind of track it down later and get rid of it. But that should be it. So if I hit create, I have no idea what this does, but presumably this shoots it off to the cloud, and then we can go and actually hit the endpoint through Azure which means that everything is awesome. And this should, I don't know how it scales, how that works. We probably aren't going to get into that because I'd have to set up something to load test this. And I'm not really going to do that. So we're going to just push this up to the cloud, see what happens, make sure it works. We should be able to get our name back. So really all I should need to do is change this. I should be able to point this at Azure and get a response back. And if I get a response back, then we know it works. It should be the exact same greeting that we have here. If it's anything else, I've screwed something up. That's pretty much how we know that. So there's our site URL. Looks like it's starting there. I'm going to, I think that's copying. I have no idea. There's no feedback. And it looks like it's still in progress. You can see it's copying all of our DLLs and our files over. So did it publish? Yeah, it looks like it did. Oh, okay. So what we did when we created that publish is we created something so we could actually publish. I have not used Azure's or Visual Studio's publish feature in like 6 years. It's been a long time. So it's changed obviously because that was back in Visual Studio 2008, I think. So anyway, point being, now we have this. So anytime I want to publish my app, if I make a change, for example, I should be able to publish that. So we can actually test that. So I'm going to copy, I think. Be nice if they added a way to actually visually tell what it was doing. But that should be our URL, plus then we have our REST endpoint there. Requires HTTPS. The webhook verification request must contain a code query parameter. I don't know what that is. So I apparently need something else. Okay. That's new. I thought we had anonymous authentication. Why do I need anything else? Huh. Yeah, this is kind of magic behavior. I don't know if I like magic behavior, but we can work around this. We got to run everything else. Let's see here. Webhook verification request must contain a code. Let's send it leet. What does that do? Did not match the expected value. I'm going to guess that this is defined somewhere. I'm going to go find that code, and then we could pick up from there, because I have no idea what that's supposed to be. I imagine it's something that the Azure Portal is going to give me. All right, so found out what the code was. It's actually on the Azure Portal, and if this is a little Stack Overflow, I can't show you my Azure Portal because if I did, I'd have to kill you. But if you go here, if you go to the Azure Portal and then select Manage out of the options that it gives you under function, like so you go to the Azure Portal, select your function, click Manage underneath it. It'll be in a little bar on the left, and then you'll see there's two groups. There's the function and the webhooks or admins, I believe. If you just take the function key, show that, and just paste this here, you're good. That's all you need, and you can just call it. So bang, everything works. And my cough is still not gone. Today in I don't know. I was gonna say something clever there, but then I totally forgot. So instead we're just gonna change this to be last name comma first name, which is a totally boring change and I should be very disappointed. We're going to just test it really quickly by remembering that we totally broke everything because we changed our endpoint. Let me grab this before you do anything. Awesome. We changed our endpoint, so this is going to be disappointing. But if I do this, Oh, why can't I? Oh, ha, we need to post to it. Got it. We'll set that to raw, and we want to encode this as JSON. Awesome. So I did all that really fast, but effectively we're posting our request, what we were doing, as JSON. It needs to be JSON. If you have it encoded as like XML, it might not work. We told it we expected JSON, so that's what I'm giving it. But if I send this, we're going to hit here, which is good. It means everything worked. And we get it back, and it says hello world, 0, which means everything did what we expected. So the next step is to stop this and see what publishing does. I have no idea. We're going to find out though. So theoretically, once this completes down here, once that's done, we should have this new function up on the thing. Ooh, cool. It does a diff of how to publish. So it didn't upload all the same files that we did last time. There were significantly less. So all of those dependencies we had didn't get re-uploaded, which is, I like that. That's nice. So if we go here now, back to our function out in Azure. If I call this, first time's a little bit slow, but now we get hello world, 0, and it works. And now that we've created that function container, the first one's slow because it's a cold start. And so the difference between a cold and a warm start is a cold start means the resource you have may not necessarily be available yet, which means in this case, the function doesn't exist. So we actually have to create it. That's why the first one's slow. And then the next ones are faster because they're warm starts. It already exists. So it can just go and grab it. It can realize, oh, this is there. I'll just take that one. And so that's what's happening there. But yeah, in less than a minute, we were able to publish and hit our production and get this new update, which that's pretty good. Pretty happy with that. So, I mean, I say a minute is probably like 10 seconds. But anyway, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover here. I just kind of wanted to get the feet wet and see where this was, because I've been seeing a lot of news about it. It's sort of one of those trendy serverless things, well, which is like I don't know, a hot topic you hear everybody talking about. And I hadn't really played with it, so I don't know. I don't really know what I think yet. It feels the tooling could use some work. We had that issue where it was creating invalid names for services in Azure, which I wouldn't expect in something. That needs to be cleaned up. And there's a few other things. It just it created like an empty project, and we had to go create a new function, which isn't intuitive. I guess it would be nice if like the wizard was closer to what ASP has done, where they give you, do you want to create a web forms app, or well, not web forms. Hopefully you're not creating a web forms app, but do you want to create a web API or an MVC app? Those kind of selections kind of make things a little bit easier. And if that was introduced to the start of this project creation, I think that would make it easier to get your head around, because it took me a while to figure out which one we actually needed to choose, which hopefully that goes away as you start actually picking these things. But for somebody just getting started out, it's a little bit confusing with no prior knowledge of any of this. So I don't know, maybe a little bit of a barrier to entry there, but other than that, pretty happy with it. It seems useful. We'll see what prices look like, but other than that, it's fast and easy. Like, this is our code. It fits on a page. That this is literally our code, and we have a functioning REST endpoint. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. And yeah, I guess if you want to see more of this, let me know. I'm kind of hoping to do more web-based stuff, more server-based stuff. I think there's a lot of, we could do a lot there. And we've been doing a lot with game development. That was pretty much The previous year we're kind of at a year at this channel, and so I kind of want to expand a little bit. We did a little bit with like the Universal Windows Platform and some WPF and stuff. I'd like to kind of make that a bigger part of what this channel is. It's not just about game development and things like that. Hopefully we can learn more, and hopefully it just makes us better developers as a whole. So yeah, that's sort of where I'm hoping to take this. Let me know your thoughts, and we'll make it up from there. So yeah, until next time, see you, Internet.